example 1 asks us to find the discriminant and hence determine the nature of the roots of each of the following equations. In order to get the discriminant, we have to have a standard form of a quadratic equation. Okay, so A is a perfect illustration of what that is. We've got our standard form, so we've got our x squared term and every other term on one side and 0 on the other. So now we don't need all of these terms necessarily, but we do need the x squared term and every other term that follows on the same side in order to do this. So let's look at part A. So A gives us 5x squared plus 4x plus 6 equals 0. So we've got our A, our B, and our C. So to find the discriminant, so our discriminant b squared minus 4ac is going to be the same thing as 4 squared minus 4 times 5 times 6. So this is 16 minus 120, which is also the same as negative 104. So that is a negative number. Now if we think back to our closure, if our discriminant is negative, that means that we have no real roots. None at all. So that is why. Because since negative 104 is less than 0, we have that. So our next one that we see is x squared equals 8 times x minus 2. So if we have, x squared equals 8 times x minus 2. Well, this is not in the standard form, so we need to put it in that form. We need to get everything on one side. So there's multiple ways that you can go about doing this. I'm going to distribute the 8 across and then move stuff over. So I'm going to end up with x squared equals, so 8 times x. So since I have a single term times a binomial, I'm going to distribute that 8. And so this becomes 8x minus 16. Now both of those things are on the wrong side. So we need everything on the right. We need everything on the same side. You can move the x squared over and move the other stuff over. It's whatever you would like to do. I tend to prefer to move everything to the side where the x squared is, where it's positive. So I'm going to move everything over. Now when you move something over, you must switch the sign. You must switch it. So you have x squared. If you move the 8x over, it becomes a negative 8x. We swing it to the other side. It's kind of on the opposite. The negative 16 becomes a positive 16. And boom, we have our standard form. So we're set up to go ahead. Now, our a value, remember, is a 1 because we don't have any term there. B is a negative 8 and C is 16. So when we look at b squared minus 4ac, this is going to be negative 8 squared minus 4 times 1 times 16. That's bad 16. So this is 64 minus 4 times 1 times 16. Wait a second, that's 64, which makes 0. This means that we're going to have 2 real equal roots. So we don't know what those roots are, and we can find them out. It wouldn't be very hard. But we know that there are 2 real equal ones. They're going to be the same answer. So that's how that works. Now, let's go forward. So we got 2x minus 1 times x plus 3 equals 4. So 2x minus 1 times x plus 3 equals 4. Let's see if my aging mind got that one right. Yay, it did. Okay, good. Now, again, not in standard form. How do we deal with this? How do we figure out what kind of answers we're going to have? Well, it would have been awesome. It would be awesome if that thing was 0. If that was 0 over there, we'd know the answer right off the bat. We'd know what kind of roots there are, but if it's not 0, which is awful. So now we're going to go ahead and simplify this. So we want all the terms on the same side. Well, what do you do when you have two binomials multiplied together. We have to FOIL. So our good buddy FOIL. So FOIL goes, we do our first term. 2x times x makes 2x squared. Then we do our outsides. 2x times 3, so that makes a 6x. Then we do our insides, -1 and x makes a -x. And then our outsides, the last, -1 and 3 makes -3. So we can go forward and kind of simplify from there. 2x squared on a great side. We can simplify this to be 5x. And then we're going to move the 4 from being lonely on the other side, and it's going to group up with the -3. But the 4, remember, has to switch its sign, so it becomes a -4. So we have a -7. So again, we've set ourselves up. Oops. A, B, C. B squared minus 4AC is going to be 5 squared minus 4 times 2 times -7. And that is going to be 25 plus 56. So -4 times 2 is -8. -8 and -7 is 56. And so that is the same thing as 81. Awesome. So this is two real and distinct roots, if you remember from earlier. So just make sure that we get it in standard form before we do anything. We can't say anything before that.